Latest reports shows that Nigeria's oil production surged in February, exceeding its OPEC quota of 1.5 million barrels per day by 70,000 barrels per day and contributing to the cartel's increased outputs in February. An energy lawyer and analyst, Dr. Ayodele Oni, earlier today also stressed that some policy initiative introduced by President Bola Tinubu is responsible for this positive trend.
If you had vandalism, you'd have a number of wells shut in. You hear people complain about the terminals or inability from the wellhead to get from the wellhead to the export terminal. But you don't hear all of that anymore. You don't see people write much of that on social media. So it means that something good is happening. Much of that effort is yielding good fruits. Also because they are getting locals involved. You know, the PIA has the trust arrangement, so that when you safeguard those assets too, there's a benefit you derive. So locals are getting involved. It's a change in strategy, which means you understand the creeks, you understand that environment, come join us and get a benefit when things work. So I think it's positive, and I think it's good news for us. Recall that our budget benchmark is $75 per barrel and 2,060,000 million barrels per day. So we've got our eyes set on those targets, and we need to do everything it takes. So good news. A lot of these actions, these reforms are yielding fruit. I mean, painful reforms, but in the mid to long term, excellent decisions have been taken.
While the stock market regains strength on price levels as renewed interest in securities markets activities intensified across the board. The trade index jumped by 0.07% from mid-trade to close down, splashing gains on investments for many shareholders. Dangote Sugar and Africa Prudential Insurance elevated trades with maximum 10% each. Other gainers included Eternal Oil, Transcorp and Livestock Feeds. Major shares that traded downwards were VFD Group with nearly 10% loss, Suno Assurance, Omatech, Jais Bank, and Totals Energy. Well, to the Wall Street futures now, which sank today, and the safe haven yuan and Swiss franc strengthened as building deflationary pressures in China added to worries from U.S. economy and an escalating global trade war. U.S. S&P 500 stock futures pointed 0.5% lower, and Nasdaq futures sagged 0.6%. Hong Kong Hang Seng slumped 1.8%, and an index of mainland Chinese blue chips is 0.7%. Taiwanese equities benchmark slipped 0.5%, although Japan's Nikkei was 0.4% higher after flipping between gains and losses. The yen strengthened 0.3% to 147.6 per dollar, while the franc firmed 0.2% to 0.88 per dollar. European markets offered a bright spot with pan-European stock 50 futures pointing 0.55% up. U.S. President Mr. Donald Trump says his administration is in touch with 4 different groups about the sale of Chinese-owned social media platform TikTok, and that all options were good. The president said this on board Air Force One as he traveled to Washington, D.C. after spending the weekend in Florida. TikTok's fate has been up in the air since the law requiring its owner, ByteDance, to either sell it on national security grounds or face a ban, which took effect January 19th. Analysts estimate that the company is worth as much as $50 billion US.
We're dealing with 4 different groups, and a lot of people want it, and it's up to me. So there could be. We're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs, we're going to have open factories, it's going to be great.
Now, crude oil prices fell today as concerns about the impact of U.S. import tariffs on global economic growth and fuel demands and rising outputs from OPEC Plus producers cooled investors' appetite for riskier assets. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to sell for $67.04 per barrel. Brent declined by an upward price review of 0.04% to sell for $70.39 per barrel. Bonnie Light sells for $78.62 with a down downward review of 2.84%. And for the OPEC basket, dealers offer $71.75 with a decline of 1.03%.